putting a dip in your hip, a glide in your stride. Welcome to the mothership, the home of the travelers of the universe, with shows throughout the week. Everything you want, everything you could need. From the paranormal to the supernatural, from the spiritual to the unknown, from emotions to comedy. You can find us at Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and so much more. This is Rift Nation Network, the RNN. And now, your featured show. Shall we begin?
Sensitive/offensive content disclaimer. Please note that this podcast may contain material that some listeners may find sensitive, offensive, or disturbing. We strive to create respectful and informative content, but topics discussed may include mature themes such as violence, explicit language, or controversial subjects, triggering content including discussions related to mental health, trauma, or other sensitive issues, explicit language. Occasionally, our guests or hosts may use strong language. While we aim to handle these topics with care and empathy, we encourage listeners to exercise discretion. If you find any content distressing, consider skipping or seeking support. Remember that this podcast is not a substitute for professional advice. If you need assistance, please consult a qualified expert.
Good evening.
Hello.
How's everybody doing? How you doing, brother?
I'm good. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you good. I'm not gonna lie to you. I may have some signal issues. Round about 9 o'clock, for some reason, out here, I start to lose signal for a little bit. It happened last night on the show. It'll come and go. So hopefully I can keep a good signal where I'm at. Hello, travelers. Hello and welcome, and thank you, Thank you for sharing out, Renee. I appreciate that. I am here. I am the Hitman. I'm Ed Odell, along with the Big Daddy himself.
I'm Sean.
Hola, ¿qué pasa?
¿Qué pasa? Muy bien.
You know, one of those days.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry I was late signing in, but I literally just got into town and had enough time to kind of hop in a quick shower because I was covered in dirt, grass, and gunpowder.
Hey, that's 3 things that's worth waiting for. That's what I'm saying. I'm just going there. I'm going to bring up everybody look, both of our better halves are in the house tonight. Look at that. Hello, everybody.
Hello, Rob. Good to see you, Miss Courtney and Michelle. I followed you on YouTube. I dig your channel, ma'am.
Yeah, she's actually going to be on here very soon.
I dig your channel, Michelle. I think I met you on our podcast. You tuned in when one night, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go follow you. And I do follow other people. I believe in the para unity.
Let's see here. You have to be tired, Sean. Sorry I didn't get to see you guys today. Guy at the gate told me I couldn't go into the camp.
Oh man, you should have told me. I would have went up there and got you. We would have.
Hey,
I think
Lewis.
we could have handled that guy at the gate, Ronnie. But yeah, I was looking for you. We stopped by the gift shop to say hi to Shayla on the way out, and I was hoping you were there, brother, but you weren't. And yes, I'm beyond tired. I'm exhausted, but I wasn't going to miss this opportunity for anything.
Yeah.
At all.
Sounds like it was an incredible weekend, brother.
You know, it's I was stepping aside from the paranormal. The thing I like about reenacting is it's the closest thing you're going to get to a time machine, in my opinion.
Right.
Not only that, it's just the people. You know, people will literally give you the shirt off their back when you're in camp and you need something. The camaraderie, the brotherhood. You're sitting around a campfire at night after battling. We walked almost 6 miles in one day. 6 miles in one day of walking may not sound like a lot to a lot of people, but think about walking 6 miles when you're wearing all jean wool and you're carrying around a rifle and after getting yelled at by your commanding officers to fight, and it's a lot. And then of course we went paranormal investigating a little bit while we were there, but
you got to do that. You got to do that.
Snuck it in. But it's just the people it's just different when you're in camp. People I don't even know and just to break all the stereotypes, and I'm not going to get political on your show, but I'm a Confederate reenactor.
Mm-hmm.
So, and my guys treat me like I'm one of them. So, I mean, it's hard to come back to reality where people don't wave at you and don't speak to you. And, it's just hard. I had a great weekend though. And Ronnie, like I said, next time something like that happens, you let me know. We'll get you down there.
There it is. We could have jumped right into a whole bunch of historic, documentation, all this tonight, but you and I have had so many great discussions since the last show. We need to discuss a lot of it.
Yes.
We're going to save that last history part. Cool. Ronnie says cool. I'll bring that up. I'll bring up the paranormal history towards the end of it because we're leading up to modern times right now. And, we just have to hit some highlights. Then every show we're going to talk about a paranormal specialist or a demonologist. So that's going to be something that we're going to start utilizing too, is spotlighting the people of the past, like Nikola Tesla, like Dr. Fashad, like Dr. Edwards, Einstein, even throwing that in here, even Houdini. But that'll be the last 15 minutes of the show. So
the war between Edison and Tesla.
We got to talk about that.
Box.
I mean, that's as bad as Arthur Conan Doyle and Houdini. So It's interesting. We're going to be talking a lot about that kind of stuff. But travelers and those like right now, we really wanted to just discuss a few things. Talk about theories. Sean has brought so many great points to me to think about and discuss. And I like, it's a great opportunity. We have a lot of great people here with us tonight. They can give us their inputs and we can trade. You guys will know that Sean and I don't always see eye to eye. We're not always going, oh yeah, you're right. Or you're right. We do work together, just like both of our teams and everything, but everybody's a right to their own opinion. So if y'all hear us, we're not bickering. We're just going, well, you might be right, but
we disagree, but yet I still call you all the time when I have a question.
We agree to disagree.
You don't have to agree to be friends with somebody.
That's right. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
So something that I wanted to bring out, and I was thinking about it as I was getting the show started, and a correction, this is our show. This is not my show. I just want to correct you, sir.
I'm I'm just a guest, man. I'm in your world right now.
I hear you. Yeah, okay, bullshit.
Tips my
So it is. Yes, sir. So one of the things that I really wanted to talk about tonight was, in relative speaking to modern theory, is the fact of residual to intelligent hauntings. Well, first of all, what's your thought? What are your opinions on that? Hey, Kristen, welcome to the show.
You know, my thoughts and opinions on it. It's changing with the more research that I do. You've seen how I do things, and I've called you on how I particularly do things. So my opinion on intelligent residual haunting is I believe the same spirit can have both. Just from the things that I've seen, I think that there's a fine line of do we really know what intelligent versus residual is?
That's a valid point. Yeah.
I really we all have theories, which is what science is a theory.
Right.
But that's a tough question to really answer. So my opinion is going to be, with constant research, I hope we get closer to the answer to that. A lady asked me at Paranormal Fridays, which is an educational session for us. It's more, we do a small investigation, but it's more of teaching the public what exactly it is we do. And she asked me a great question. She said, "What exactly are spirits made up of?" Like, she was a chemist. That was her career, and she was fascinated, excuse me, by the scientific side of things. And she said, "What are spirits? What are they? Like, what are they made up of?" And I said, "Well, the honest truth is I don't know. We have several theories. We've got several evidence that proves certain things, but really, does our evidence prove anything? We really don't know." I said, "But we research constantly and try to get closer to an opinion that we can all agree on."
Right. Right.
So I know that doesn't really answer the question and doesn't answer it well, but some people will give you a full answer, residual versus intelligent. But the question is, do we really know? Because I've seen the same spirit. If it was to me, if it was intelligent, if you were dealing with an intelligent spirit, then it would communicate pretty much whenever you're around, or whenever it's around. If it was residual, if it was just residual, it would never communicate intelligently, in my opinion. So I think that a spirit can be both. I don't think it's one way or the other. That's just my opinion, though.
No, I get you. No, because that's why I wanted to talk about it tonight. I'd throw it out, let everybody, think about this. Because I'm going now, getting deeper into my research and into the thought process, of course, using science, if you will, into the spirituality. I'm looking at how is the difference between the two. I know this far that residual energy is an imprint, or a point in time. It also could be a cut in the time continuum. This is a good possibility, that you're just seeing a action in the past through a time split. Okay, this is actually really well documented in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. It's actually been on several TV shows, and I'm not going to toot his horn, but I will say I know my brother was a part of a TV show that had to do about Gettysburg. Him and my father saw what they thought was a diorama taking place in one of the shops. And as we came back through town, this was back in the 80s, as we came back through town, we saw nothing but a brick wall. And Dad and Robert were like, "I know we saw this. We saw this, right? We saw this." And my dad's like, "We did this." And my dad's my primary backbone when it comes to these things. So I would go to him a lot. And he explained quantum at the beginning to me. and looking at being able to see the past at moments in time. That's really intriguing. And then he went to explain the intelligent to me, where the intelligent is the presence of the present day energy or spirit that's with us now, communicating on our level, yet no matter where they're from, dimensional, time, celestial, who knows. But they're actually a communicative, interactive energy. And I was like, wow, that's really brilliant. And I recalled this conversation as I was starting the show. So I'm like, here's the question now. And I'm going to give this out to everybody to think about is if it's a residual haunting, is it that the fact that the residual haunting gives off the same readings as an intelligent? I mean, does it affect any type of equipment, yet it be, oh, okay, the classicals? Can it affect the compass? Can a residual affect a K2 or EMF reader? Can it actually represent on even on sensors, motion sensors, because it's still a form of energy. Where we're intelligent, we're understanding that this is a free flowing energy that's moving at the same time we are. So existing in our time of plane and interacting with us. What's your thought?
So if you're capturing, let's say we're talking about residual right now.
Mhm.
If you're capturing a moment in time and you're able to physically see it or deal with it, then I would say would have to set your equipment off because you're still dealing with energy from a time period. If you believe in Sir, Isaac Newton, then, he says, energy is never lost or destroyed. So if you're dealing with a time from, I don't know, we'll talk about Gettysburg, for example. There have been thousands of reports of seeing soldiers, thousands of reports of hearing random cannon fire, hearing musket fire. I tried like hell to debunk the time I heard the cannon fire. And I just don't see somebody at Gettysburg shooting a cannon off at 5 o'clock in the morning. Maybe there was, but again, I'm a reenactor. I know the difference between 1F and 2F, and I know how far away a cannon sounds. I'm
Now,
pretty
with
good.
that being said, though, you have a benefit to most. With being
Right.
a reenactor, you are working in the noise, the feel, and the whole nine. That's really a really great stuff. I just need to throw that in there. I'm like, dude, you're right. You get to experience a lot more than most.
And not only that, I make black powder myself. I shoot these guns from 1863, and I have a replica that I reenact with, and the replicas are built almost identical to the way they were built back in the days. But I hunt with a gun that was built in the 1800s. It was used on the Civil War battlefield.
Okay.
The powder I make is not like modern powder. The powder I make is actually equivalent to what was used during, actually backdating to pre-Revolutionary War. So I know the sound of classic gunpowder as opposed to powder now. I can almost tell you what kind of charge it was using, just by the sound.
There you go.
So when I hear it, I don't. Whoever shot that cannon, and I'm making a point with this. I know I'm getting a little long, but
No.
whoever shot the cannon did not use modern powder. Number one. It was a it was actual black powder, not the substitute that most people can get from a store. You can walk in any Walmart or gun shop and buy propellant. Propellant is not the same as gunpowder. It's not the same at all. Gunpowder is considered an explosive. So you can't just go to a gun shop and buy. And now that I'm tired, I'm gonna have a brain fart. But God, I can't think of the name of it. GoX. Thank you, Courtney. GoX or Schutzen or whatever gunpowder. You can't just go to a store and buy it because it's an explosive, and it makes a different sound when shot.
Okay.
It also makes a different sound when you shoot a black powder weapon that has a bullet in it or a cannonball in it, as opposed to nothing in it. It's a different type of boom. So when I heard a cannon go off that's using firing black powder, it's firing that has some kind of projectile in it at 5 o'clock in the morning, I find it really hard to believe that that's somebody in the woods doing that. So my question is, we captured something in a moment of time. I do believe if I was standing closer to it and I had some form of equipment, it would register because it's an event going on right now. And my equipment would our equipment picks up things that we can't pick up. We can't walk into a room and say, there's EMF right here. That's what our equipment is designed to do.
Well, the other thing is we don't really know that if that EMF is something that's logical in the paranormal. We assume it is.
That's true too.
You know, nobody to this day can tell me who said that EMF detects paranormal activity.
Right. And actually, the piece of equipment you came up with debunks that whole theory, because using sonar has picked up stuff. There's music boxes actually created with sonar. I did a whole science experiment with sonar versus sonar to see if it would detect, because of an incident that happened at the cabin on the 360.
Okay.
So now you're talking about sound waves. These spirits are able to be picked up using sound waves. Sound waves can't pick up EMF. So what are the spirits?
It's a multiplicity of things and events. I mean, that's one of the things, you know, I'm gotta give him props again. I was discussing this with Bill Rigby this afternoon. You know, one of the things is there's so many levels of possibilities of interaction with humans to whatever else, to frequency, as you just stated, to all types of energy, not just frequency, but frequency, it tends to be the dialed in, if you will. I'm playing with ohms now. I think that might be one of the missing keys. That's my next project. As you can see where I'm at, that I think that we need to open the eyes and ears of our thought process to the conglomerate of everything. What is the possibilities? And we've talked about this. Thermal could be another point. And we know for a fact that, you know, some interact in warmer weather and some interact in colder weather. So with this, I tend to absolutely agree with you that our, you know, K2s and EMF readers cannot pick up frequency, but they can be manipulated. And that's the one thing they're finding. Okay, there it is. There's the key. Any and all of our quote unquote tools of the field, all of it seemed to be at some point manipulated. I will give it that.
Yeah.
That's not saying that there's activity. That's just saying something is manipulating it. When we're in the field, we also have to remember when we're out there that just because the K2 or the EMF reader goes off, or some even you and Rhonda's best friend, the dead bell, goes off, that it very well could be possible that it's a static cloud.
Absolutely.
You know.
But when it comes to the dead bell, we'll talk about the dead bell for a second. And everything you're saying, I agree with to an extent. Yeah. I never claim an EMF. I've never claimed a K2 being paranormal activity. And just for the simple fact, we have electricity in our body. You know, if I walk long enough, I generate static electricity. Even if I never claimed a K2, especially if you're holding it. It's cool to see them spike. It's cool. I like to see them manipulated on command when I use them or have used them, and I use them when I'm ghost hunting, so to speak. because I do believe when you're a paranormal investigator, you have to have some sense of ghost hunting with you. But with the dead bell, and I want to clear the air with this because anybody who's investigated with me, when the dead bell goes off, I never get excited about it. And I was actually, again, I always throw this out there. I was actually accused of faking evidence with the dead bell before because I wasn't excited about it. I've never gotten excited about it. The one time I got super excited about it was it's how the dead bell's manipulated. The way the dead bell is created is when it reaches a certain amount of EMF, it triggers the bell, the hammer to hit the bell. It's all electrical. So the dead bell will periodically generate enough energy on its own to hit the bell. It'll ring periodically. It doesn't take manipulation to do it.
Well, there's static charge in the air. So yeah, that makes sense.
Your co-host, though, Rhonda, actually taught me how to use the dead bell. And the way I use the dead bell is we want to hear it. Hey, how you doing? We want to hear it being manipulated multiple times on command. So we want to hear it ring 3 times in a row. Right. And that's where I even started investigating. Rhonda, we were all sitting in a room one night and she said, "Can you make the bell go ding, ding, ding?" When the bell fired off ding, ding, ding after just ringing periodically. I mean, even in the video, you'll hear it ring one time before she even asked it to do that.
Right.
So when stuff like that, I think anything in the field can be random misfires, so to speak. K2 will spike on its own. You don't know why it does it. It could be the batteries going dead. It could be the batteries recharging. It could be anything. However, when it comes to certain things, I think that it's how you manipulate your device as well. Even down to our experiment with the laser grids. Everybody looks for a shadow in the laser grid. Isn't that the purpose of them?
Yeah, we were going there. I thought we were going to get there tonight. We might as well. I mean, we're going to hit our subjects now. Let's do it. Keep going.
Like down to the laser grid. I've always thought the laser grid was used to pick up shadows or pick up people walking through it or like a break in the laser grid. And we come to find out that the spirits are teaching us how to use the laser grid. When our equipment is being manipulated in ways that it's not supposed to, then that's when I think there's another thing we need to be looking at when we're investigating.
And you know what? With bringing that up, and since we're talking about the laser grid, I need to emphasize what he said. The laser grid was primarily designed to look for manipulations and deception of shapes, colors, and images all across a room. Of course, we all know that they come in primary 2 colors. I know there is a blue now, but primary red and green. And we both have talked about this. I think there is something about the color and places that the entities will actually either interact more with or a lot less. So, I wanted to bring that up because not only did we use a laser grid, but come on, a couple weekends ago we used the laser tripwire. And if y'all, okay, I want to explain that to you real quick. One of our goals here is to teach you guys, and not just about equipment, but how to make your own, how to DIY efficiently and cost efficiently. Okay?
I like the cost efficiently part.
Like that, right? So I'm about wanting to advance the field. I'm not holding my shit back anymore. But the people who have the time to make it for me that I don't, incredible people. That goes out to our sponsor, Boo's Paranormal. Best price, best equipment for the right person. Right there. I took and ordered from Amazon a spy gear piece of equipment. Kid's toy. Now, I'd used this 12 years ago by itself. It's a standard IR light or red that connects to a receiver. This has only got maybe a 24-inch range. Well, I took that idea this time and I was like, I'm going to play with it. I brought it here into the shop. I took the projectors and I tore them out. I went to Dollar Tree, got me 2 of the animal lasers, the toys, get them for $1.25. I gutted the projector, put the laser in, tested it on 3 different occasions to make sure the receiver could handle the laser, that it didn't fry the optics. Success. Absolute success. So I went from 24 inches to 14 feet. And now my next test that will be taking place in here is to be able to use mirrors to bounce this laser all around the room to the receiver. That's my next goal. But, hey, what's going on? Good to see you. Been a long time. Sean, why don't you tell me what happened at the chapel?
So, I'm going to hang on. The color of the laser was red.
Okay.
We've experimented with red lasers before.
I have.
When you set your lasers up, they, after about 5 or 10 minutes, I'm bad with judging time, the laser started tripping. And when the laser is tripped, the alarm is set off. It has like a loud ringing that goes off. Yeah. What I noticed, though, I did take note, is prior to that, you were showing us how it worked.
Correct.
By walking through it.
Correct.
And then Courtney, I think, stepped into it a couple times. And then all of a sudden, we start asking questions. We start asking questions. We start investigating, so to speak. And the laser gets tripped multiple times with nobody moving. Everyone's, I think we were sitting down and you were standing at least 6 feet away from it.
Correct.
And it wasn't even on the same floor as you. You have to step up to get to where the podium is.
Correct.
Laser starts going off. About 10 minutes later, laser starts dying. Laser gets weak, then laser goes out. Now, I've had my lasers, the cat toys and stuff like that, and they'll last for years before the battery dies in them. I don't know why the battery died that quick, but we've experimented with a red laser before.
There it is.
And it instantly, it'll die within maybe 10 minutes. The same exact thing. You fully charged your red light laser, your grid.
Yep.
Using my little power inverter.
Correct.
We took it down to the museum, and that died within about 10 to 15 minutes. Same thing happened. I haven't gotten to the green yet, but both times, both red lasers die and don't come back on.
That's right.
Well, they do come back on at some point, but I'll save that part.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the green laser, that died too in the chapel, or did it die in the museum? I think it died in the museum. No, you charged it in the chapel and used it in the museum.
Correct.
It died it died. I mean, I've had laser grids run all night during investigations. I watched you charge it, and we get to the chapel, and we thought it was just dimming, but it was cut completely off, like it was dead. We were looking at the reflection of Lost Souls laser.
Correct. And I want to make sure people understand. Not only did we test it, I actually picked it up and I showed Emily and Chris from Lost Souls, you and Courtney. I pushed that button several times. I pushed it. It was dead. It was deader than shit.
Right after you charged it.
Mm-hmm. Right after.
Exactly. And but on command, and I've got this on video. I meant to clip it and send it to you. I heard you say, you said something. Oh God, I don't have it verbatim. I wish I'd been more prepared. But you said something. Can you cut the laser back on? You know, can you respond by cutting the laser back on? Laser light cuts on, and then it cuts back off.
Now, was that the color question, or is that just because? Oh yeah, the red one did do that one time, didn't it?
The green one did that. The red one did it towards the end.
Yes. Now we're actually getting there. Beforehand, and before it says, is it legal for in the U.S. to wear one of those cams on the street? Technically, yeah, because you can have your cell phone. So technically, yes, you can, Cos, and thank you for asking. He also says lots of fresh batteries. Brother, let me explain this one to you. My laser grids do not work on regular batteries. Mine do work on lithium batteries that are USB charged, which have a running time of 60 to 120 minutes. Just to let everybody know. Now, could there be a default about the pen? It could, but when I set it in here in the garage and it lasts for an hour here, that tells me something I needed to know, because I did do the test after the first time we were there. As he's talking about, the red one died in the chapel. We've talked about this before. And the green one, it started giving the same response as it did in the chapel. Yeah. 3 times before it died. We asked it questions. It would zap on and fade away. And then it would go in and fade away. Now, after that, I'll let you go ahead and go into Emily and Chris's experience.
So right after that, Emily and Chris's laser from Lost Souls, shout out Lost Souls, by the way. Their laser was shining bright, no problems, no issues. Right after your laser dies, we said out loud, well, how come their laser wasn't affected? It was like maybe 5 minutes later, their laser just
think it was 5, brother.
It may not
like 2 minutes.
I'm terrible. I'm probably adding a few minutes. But right after that, their lasers just starts blinking on and off. No fade, no loss in brightness. It just blinks. A couple times on command. I think I asked it one time, and I can clip all this and send it to you. I asked it one time, well, can you leave it off just for a few seconds longer? And it stayed off for like 5 or 6 seconds at that point, and then cut back on.
And come back on.
But let's take all this out of the equation. I operate on trifecta. I want 3 things to happen before I call anything spirit manipulation. So not only was that happening, but I'm watching the camera. I rolled the camera back to watch this investigation. I ran 42 minutes that we were investigating in the museum. My geophone on the EDI box was going off constantly. I've got notes in front of me right here, actually, so I can go back and mark it. But you see all this little writing? I don't want to hold it too close to the camera because it'll blur it out. Right. But there's a lot of little writing on these little sticky notes. That's me marking times that the geophone was going off. I got 3, 4, 5 of these. I got several of these sticky notes right here. Even more. I can keep pulling them up all day of every time the geophone was going off. And I got little handwriting on both sides that's telling me every time the geophone. Now, we were all sitting down except Emily and Chris, and they were standing pretty still. Right. Even when we moved around, I think you were like knocking on stuff and hitting your foot trying to make the geophone light up, and it wouldn't. Right. You had to hit it on the coffin to light it up.
Yep.
Geophone was steady lighting up. We moved the geophone to the center of the room, and then it really started lighting up. Something was in there manipulating that. So that's number 2, right? Then the barometric pressure was changing constantly on the geophone. It was going up and down. I saw a yellow light. I saw a blue light.
Right.
Temperature was changing constantly in that room.
Correct.
3 things.
That's your trifecta. I mean, that's our goal, to get 3 or more. Yeah. So, the interesting part is after this all, we actually talked to Chris and said, Chris, has your splitter ever done this before? And he looked at me and said, never. This has never happened before. I said, and Emily confirmed it. So I'm like, well, there you go. Confirmation. A piece of equipment that's doing something it's not supposed to. Okay, we're going with that. We know by experience prior to that they manipulated the laser grid in the chapel by communication. We actually had some in the chapel that night, if you remember.
Yeah.
And then when we moved to the museum, we had the same thing. With now, again, why are we bringing this up? Because these aren't flashlights. This is a lithium-powered laser grid that's being manipulated. 2 of them, and I'm not sure. I think he had a grid box. I'm not sure what Chris's was, but I think it was a grid box. His was manipulated as well.
Yeah.
So we're talking color now, you guys. And this is why we're bringing this up, because it's a good point. Thanks, Kassan. We're going to talk about that in just a second, because we think there is something to this. I'm going to say that. But before I go there, I want to shout out to what the show said. The cube UFO sighting I had in 2022 killed my iPhone 8 plus battery from a full charge 15 minutes earlier as I walked my dogs on the abandoned railway near my home in Manchester. Dirty gold cube. Gotcha. Here we are. We're at that point where we don't know if there's a difference between ufology and paranormal or parology. I wanted to bring that up. Thank you, Show, for bringing that up. Now, Kaz, you said, why do you think the spirits shut off cameras? Well, I got some ideas. First of all, where the location that Sean and I and our crew are, they tend not to like the red light, as you see. They will burn it all the way to the... Okay? We're going to tell you what happened at the end. But they definitely go after the red light and kill it. Now, is it because of something, situation? I don't know. I can't explain why they go after the red. However, I have heard at numerous locations, I ask, does the light bother you? And in the EVP response or spirit box or ghost app, props to hope, that it is stated we don't like the light. IR lights are what? The majority of them, they're a red tint. So I'm like, there might be something to the color now. So Kassan, this is where I'm getting to you from. Majority of your camera lights, even IR, it's a deep, but it's still in the red chromosome area. It's intriguing to me. I think this is why they go after cameras. They're not killing the battery. They're killing the source.
Right.
Okay. So I wanted to bring that out. Show said, if the phenomenon is present in using environmental conditions to manifest, it may simply draw all local energy on different levels of absorption. Absolutely correct. I agree with that too. What's going to be the easiest? Is a red light source easier to draw from than green or blue? Okay, look, we're going to talk modern. Let's talk some real shit right now. We know for the fact that DEWs are not affected by a blue color. Why is that any different in the paranormal? What is it about a DEW that is the color blue is not affected and everything else is on the spectrum? Well, what about the paranormal? Here we go. We've just added more questions. Is there a light source that they are affected by or are attracted to that they want to kill? All right. Now, with that being said, let me go in here. He also states, Powell, they don't shut off old manual cameras, do they? Here's the problem. We don't have documentation. Dun, 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 dun. We don't have documentation of that. We have people talking about it, but we don't have documentation that they did not show cameras down. ASSAP, if you wish to go to that site, that is the oldest organized society in the world, paranormal society. And they do have documentation of their cameras shutting down. Yes, they do. So just so you know, there is documentation of that. So it is interesting on how this all plays out, but I think there's a gun battle behind me, dude.
I hear it. Or
Yeah.
fireworks.
Yeah, or fireworks, and I don't know what's going on this weekend. Is there a race here this weekend? I don't know. It's really weird, but damn. Okay, so Sean, why don't you let them know what happened at the end of the night? That way people can understand where we're coming from with this, because it has a whole full circle.
So the lights die. Your light's completely dead. You're cutting it on and off. We all are tired at this point. I think you'd been up since like 4 o'clock the morning before, and it was getting close to that time now. Lost Souls was tired. They had to drive back. I believe they're from North Carolina. So they had a long drive. You had an hour drive. We were tired. We after 40 minutes of that, we decided to wrap it up because we left the Confederate section. We had been investigating a while.
Yeah.
You go to click your light, green light cuts right on.
And not just on. It came in bright. And it wasn't just a click and then fade out. That son of a biscuit eater stayed on. I held it to see if it would die. It stayed on.
Like nothing was wrong with it. And then I looked at you and said, did I cut you off because you're frozen? Did I cut you off?
No, I should be good. Am I?
So then
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you. So I looked at you and said, if you cut that red light on and it comes on, I'm done. So we all kind of paused and looked at the red light. You pick it up and boom, red light, bright, just as bright as the green one.
Pow!
And I'm like, pow! I said it. I'm done. Let's get this stuff and get out of here. Not because I'm scared.
No.
But I got the raw evidence that I wanted at that point. You know, I didn't do a whole lot of investigating. I didn't have a lot of my equipment up. I bring other teams into this place to confirm my suspicion. If I can get evidence there and another team can get evidence there and another team can get evidence there, then, you know, all of us aren't crazy at this point.
We also have to mention, because I want to make sure he gets props, Jay was with us.
Shout out Jay Brooks. He will bear you and bury you.
Right. So he witnessed a lot of this. And this is the proprietor of the property. And he witnessed it firsthand. So this is an amazing time that took place. Now, leads me to the show. How do the colors relate to the periodic table? Certain elements are only visible on certain spectrums. Brav the fudge o. Correct. Where? How? These are what we're going to be looking at. This is what I'm going to be pulling out in here. Where is why? I want to go back to a question that was earlier of how do we know that it's a specter, you know, or a ghost? All right. Are they affected? Da, da, da. One thing we have to remember is Einstein. And I said this earlier on the Orion effect. So many people were taught one thing and they forgot it. So many people. Atoms. Einstein, in his first book, explained how an atom is not a solid item. It's not solid. It's actually a gaseous liquid form. That's leading me to the opportunity to research ectoplasm and to research full body apparition. How? How can they move through walls? How can they do this? If the specter is on the present level, it's cell manipulation. That's it. They're manipulating. That's how they can manipulate batteries. That's how they can move stuff. You know, I had a hard time for the longest time to understand the word poltergeist, because I was understanding that the word poltergeist meant ghost in German. I was wrong, and I stand corrected. It is that which can move and manipulate objects. Now it makes more sense to me, because Gosses, comparatively to poltergeist, got it. So this is telling me they have the ability to manipulate not just solid matter, but manipulate atoms. Get it? You be a proton, electron, or proton, electron. Damn it, I'm missing. What the hell am I? Help me, man. Proton, electron. Yeah, okay, there we go. So they have the ability to manipulate molecules in general. So that's just that much more intriguing. How can we apply the theory of atoms to our physical world? Now we add, what about elements? Now light spectrum. You see how this is an endless amount of possibilities? What we're working into, you guys. This is really great stuff, and this is what we need to all be together on, not just holding it for ourselves. And you know what? Anybody wants to call anybody else's stuff fake, let them go ahead. You weren't there. You don't have the right to say it. You didn't want to experience it. You didn't have the equipment. You weren't there. But your opinion is allowed. Kos, let me drop in here. Kos says, is it possible sometimes things like REM pods or music boxes go off by investigators' intent? Oh, hey, go ahead, Big Daddy. What do you think?
All the time.
Mm-hmm.
I think all the time. That's why, and everybody's going to hate me for saying this, and Courtney's going to cuss me out after the show. That's why
I don't give her the father tone. Don't do it.
That's why I don't like a REM pod. I've said this consistently across the board. I do not like a REM pod. Now, with that being said, do I investigate with a REM pod? Yes. Have I seen a REM pod be manipulated in ways that I can't debunk or explain scientifically? Absolutely. I can give you an example right now of one that I even asked you about, I believe, and neither one of us could figure out how that happened. I might have sent you the video. Courtney was investigating at the Ferry Plantation. She does the knock on the wall. If there's anybody in here, can you complete this sequence? She's knocking on the wall. The REM pod does the exact same sequence as the knock. Doot, 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 doot.
You see the light go off and you hear the beeps.
And it's sitting 5 feet away from her.
Yep.
So have I seen REM pods do some weird things that I can't explain? Absolutely. The reason why I don't like them is they're too easily manipulated by false responses. It could be anything that sets them. Anytime you can show me a radio button setting a REM pod off lets me know that there is a lot of things. That's one reason why I sent you the picture of the RF detector that I have. Yeah. Because if a REM pod goes off, I'm looking at that RF detector to see what made that REM pod go off.
Agreed.
So again, it's too easily manipulated. Also, we were in the Columbarium, which we need to go to next time you come, as well as the train. I know we got to do the train station. I know we got to do it. But the Columbarium, and we were all sitting in there with the staff, actually, the staff of the cemetery, and they asked me, they said, Sean, could this equipment be manipulated by our energy? Could our thoughts and our energy make this equipment go off? And I was kind of stumped when she said that, because I'm like, I never thought of this. When we're investigating, could our own energy and our own intentions make this happen? I didn't have an answer for it.
You said the magic word, intent.
Right. Mm-hmm. I said, that's a heavy possibility that some of this equipment can be manipulated that way. Another reason why I'm not a fan of the REM pod. Now, I'm not telling everybody not to use one. I'll never tell you what to use and what not to use. I'm just giving you my personal opinion on them.
Right. You know what? I'm going to back you up, because, we can look at all the odds, the weirds, the things, and say, can we manipulate equipment? Yeah. And I'll give you one culture that can do it. I will say it right now. Yes, scientifically proven we can. And the one culture that can prove it is Shaolin monks.
Yeah, I agree with that.
They have the ability to pass kinetic energy. We know this for a fact. They have superhuman. I would like to use the word subhuman, because the abilities are taught and strengthened through knowledge and wisdom of the past to the present. So, pal, there's others that can do it too. It's not just, I'm just using that culture, that divine. Wow, I just did it. Factor. But there's people that are definitely have the ability of telekinesis and telepathy, without a shadow of a doubt. So if you have telekinesis, you can manipulate equipment. You can manipulate the battery. You can manipulate any of it to make it a false positive. Oh no, did I say it? Did I say it? False positive. I did. There's out here, they're tricking people today, saying, oh, we got activity, blah, blah, blah. They know that they can manipulate, to a point, energy. So it's intriguing to me. So to answer that, yeah, I agree. I like this. Show said the random number generator are known to be affected by mass events. Exactly. Thank you.
That's a good point.
Yeah. You know what, guys and gals, we wish we could make this show longer, and we'll see how it tests out. We didn't get to Dr. Ryan. We will next month. We'll get in depth on individuals, but what is this show called? G3. Why? Ghost, gadgets, and gossip. So we hit on all three of it tonight. We just didn't get to the historic part, and it's not always going to happen. But tonight we talked about and discussed with you guys exactly what we felt. And this show will go in that direction every time. What do we feel we need to talk to you about and allow you to talk to us? Costs. Oh, yeah. Shaolin guys do crazy stuff. I've seen they revive dying monks by the life force of a cow. Obviously, the cow died intentionally. Well, I hated that video. However, hey, Danielle, it is very true. Very true. And thank you, Show, for showing up. I appreciate you. I know Big Daddy does.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oliver, thank you so much for hanging out with us for this hour. Next month, we'll try to get back on track. We're just getting things all together now. We have a lot of investigating, the teams. Thank you. Thank you. We have our teams working. We've got a lot of projects going on. We are both in our shops building stuff and working with others. So, we appreciate y'all being able just to hang with us and discuss with us and talk with us. And that's why we wanted to do this, because knowledge is power.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't matter who you are, from someone we may not like, either or, to everybody that we may like. You're all welcome here, and we appreciate it. And we want to continue
your opinion as well.
That's right. Damn, Skippy. Well, thank you, Kristen. Kristen just said in, great and wonderful show. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we are going to wrap this up this evening, if you will. Big Daddy, I hope everything's going well there, and I will see you soon.
I hope so.
Yeah. Next weekend I will be in town, but that's my anniversary weekend with Sarah.
Uh-oh, it's
Sarah.
anniversary. Yeah.
Yeah. She loved the ring. She loved the
Oh,
ring.
I'm glad.
Yeah, we're
The
good.
chosen ring.
That's right.
We spent some time choosing that one, actually.
We did, didn't we?
Yes. I'm just glad I was there with you every step of the way.
You're my brother from another mother, man. I would have had it no other way. Next month we'll get into Dr. Ryan and his wife, Dr. Ryan. We'll talk about the Ryan Institute in North Carolina. We'll talk about how it came to be and where is it going now. Even to the point of, I don't know, do we remember there's a millennium vault that a lot of people suddenly went missing? That's because they're inside the vault. We'll talk about that.
Yeah. That'll be something good to talk about.
Yep. And we'll definitely talk about equipment more. We'll be diving into a lot of other good subjects. So, you know what? Get your questions ready for 1 month. Bring them to the show. Let's discuss it at all times. We really are here about that. Pal, good stuff. Thanks, guys. Hand pink waving. Yeah, boy.
Good to see you again.
Yes, sir. So, my brother from another mother, until we meet again, shall we call this an evening?
Shall we? I'm going to bed.
I feel you. Travelers and those alike, get ready. We're going to continue. It's going to be a great week. I got to do one YouTube little shout out real quick before I go wrap things up and touch base with she's still alive. I know she was on, but I don't know if she's on now. She might have fallen out. But look for more stories, more things. We'll bring, and that's another thing. We'll bring some of our experiences, like tonight, to you guys. Share your experiences. We love that. This is strictly paranormal, so that's what it's all about. Is G3? That's right, G3. Ghost gadgets.
Gossip.
Yeah. Good night, everybody.
Good night.